Okay, good afternoon and thanks for joining today's webinar. My name is Paul from Crescendo. We specialise in digital dictation and speech recognition technology, and I'm going to be hosting the event. We have a mix of attendees from EDI and accessibility leads to Dragon end users. As we have attracted a vast mix of roles, I've adjusted the content which hopefully will be helpful for all of you. So if a little bit comes in that isn't relevant, bear with us because it soon will be, and vice versa. We will focus on the features and benefits of Dragon, tips on improving accuracy, the often missed basic but crucial checks. There'll be a live demonstration stroke training on getting the best from the software. If you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A and we'll cover as many as we can at the end. So, what will we be teaching you today? So we're exploring the transformative features of Dragon to enhance your workflow. High accuracy, how to achieve up to 99% speech to text accuracy, reducing corrections. Voice commands, how to build commands to control your computer hands-free, increasing productivity and accessibility, and text shortcuts, how to create the shortcuts for inserting pre-saved text and adding navigational commands. That's the sort of thing we're going to be looking at. Okay, and just a reminder, the Q&A bit, do remember throughout the webinar, if you've got any questions, pop them in the Q&A. So, how can it assist you? So Dragon's a really useful tool for anybody who isn't great at typing. But for those affected by an impairment or disability, it's essential for them to kind of help them work without difficulty, discomfort or pain. In my experience, and this is going to be one of my don't get me started moments, time and time again we get requests from companies or users requesting training and support for Dragon. I kind of always ask, Blue supplied it? And more often than not, it's one of the huge Microsoft licensing companies. They offer no support or training for the users. And, those are the guys that need it most. Okay. Procuring Dragon for sort of access to work and reasonable adjustments to users often feels like it's just like a tick box operation. They need this, we provide it, job done. And that's just not good enough. So that's my little rant over. I promise that's it now. Okay, so moving on. So where can it be used? Email, Teams, letters, reports or forms, case notes, call records, CPD and auditing, staff appraisals, performance reviews, and inside most applications, Microsoft Office Suite, Office 365, Google Docs, your CRM, web-based applications supporting Chrome or Edge. So pretty much any application you can use Dragon inside of. Setting it up so you get the best from it. Okay, so we always recommend use a professional microphone for better speech capture. This can be a USB headset for only 35, 40 pounds from Amazon or wherever you want. There are handheld or desktop options. Okay, critically, you always must ensure that your mic is selected when logging into Dragon. I'll show you that in the demonstration. Master your dictation technique by speaking clearly at a consistent pace. Normal natural speech works best. Never slow down and try and overpronounce words. Make sure that the mic is in a consistent distance from your mouth. Headsets are great for that. Also, another kind of little tip from me, sometimes people say to me, I just can't stand having a headset on my head. Well, it's quite simple. Put it around your neck and just point your microphone upwards. You're not listening to anything while you're using it. Yeah. And they really are great quality and good value. Okay, so where were we? So dictate where possible in sentences using punctuation. Dragon listens, analyzes, and contextualizes before placing text. correcting mistakes made by Dragon to improve its understanding of your speech patterns. Um, if it doesn't understand or recognize a local word, like a place name or a surname, we can teach it. And again, I'll cover all of this when we do the demo, okay, which is coming up now. So just bear with me while I switch the screens around and we'll take a look. So just bear with, just proves we're live. Okay. Okie dokie. Hopefully you can see that beautiful view of a nice beach somewhere. Okay, so the first thing that I kind of mentioned was that mic setting, and this really is important. So even if you've got your mic plugged in, you need to check it's the one that Dragon is listening to. Okay, so from this list, most people won't have this many devices plugged in, but Dragon will list all listening devices. Okay, the default one happens to be the last one that's plugged into your PC. So it's Windows picking the default, not Dragon. So you do need to be careful. Okay, so for example, if you have got a webcam, if that was the last thing that plugged in, that's what Dragon's going to be listening to. My webcam's 5 foot away, not a great quality mic, so that wouldn't be any good for Dragon. Most of you will see, if you're using laptops, an array microphone. Array means listen to everything in the background as well. Okay, and again, it's buried inside your PC. It's not great quality. It's okay for Teams, but it certainly isn't okay for Dragon. Okay, so just obviously make sure that you've got your chosen microphone selected. Okay, so let's just bear with me while we go into Word, and then we'll have a look at some of the functionality that Dragon offers. Again, a lot of this is customizable, so if questions pop into your head during the demonstration, please just pop them into Q&A. I'm going to allow quite a sort of a lengthy time for Q&A because there's quite a few people from different settings, different industries, etc. So we'll give plenty of time for Q&A. Okay. As you can see on the screen here, we've got what we call our Dragon bar. Okay. There's a menu here, and obviously there's a mic here. Controlling the microphone is very easy. In my situation, I'm using a microphone that I can control the mic on the device. If you're using a headset, something like that, you can use a key on your keyboard. So in this case, it's a large plus key on the far right hand side, or you can click on off using the bar. Okay, so obviously you'll see it going green from time to time, and that's when I'm going to be dictating. So let's go. When you are dictating, comma, it is always best to dictate in sentences where possible, full stop. It's natural to want to stop and think sometimes, which is fine. Full stop, new paragraph. When you dictate, you will notice that the text doesn't appear until I've completed my sentence. Full stop. This is where Dragon uses a clever algorithm to listen first and place the text, sorry, after ensuring words are spelt correctly, even contextually, exclamation mark. It's important to remember punctuation. Smiley face. New paragraph. Editing is very simple, comma, And it's important you correct things using Dragon full stop. When you select a word, it will give you alternatives which you can pick or you can overwrite full stop. An example of that's going to be select which. And as you can see there, what it's done is given us alternative spellings, and it's also offered us capitalized or all caps. Okay. You could overwrite at this point if you wanted to as well, because it could be a mistake that you've made. Okay. Just on the alternative spelling things, you've noticed that which is spelt correctly in this scenario because Dragon does the context bit. Typically, it doesn't make these sort of mistakes. Okay. New paragraph. What happens if Dragon spells a word incorrectly, like someone's name, for example, full stop? I have a colleague and her name is Catherine Wilson. Can you see how Dragon has spelt Catherine Wilson? The Catherine who's my colleague is spelt with a K and it happens to have two L's. Okay. Let me show you what I did. So from the menu here, we have a manage vocabulary option. And this is, we use this where we have words which are fairly unique, like, I don't know, the local village, your colleague's name, for example. So what you can do is you can add words into your dictionary and here, excuse me, here you can see I added Catherine Wilson. I could have selected Catherine and changed it. I could have said select Wilson and changed it, but she's my colleague. I use her name all the time. I don't want to do that. How easy is that to do? Simply click on the plus and it will bring up the add word window. When you add a word into here, so let's imagine this time we're going to Catherine with a Y and a Wilson here. I would spell it correctly first. But then I always recommend that you hit this button and just train the word you're adding, and it will add it into your dictionary with your vocal pronunciation. Okay, so even if it's an unusual sounding name, it's gonna listen to the way that you pronounce it. So even if it's poorly, it doesn't matter because you've told it that's how you say it. So the add word feature is really important, and you tend to find in the early days you'll come across stuff that you will need to add. Okay. One of my top tips here is it's a bit of a drag having to go to the menu. When you want to add a word, you want to do it on the fly. Okay, so you can just simply say add word and it'll go off and fire up. Sorry, it's fired it up at the bottom of the screen here, but okay. So you can use voice commands to bring these windows to your screen, and you can pretty much add a word on the fly in seconds. Okay. So, full stop, new paragraph. You can also use auto text and insert delimiter brackets so you can navigate and change variables. Some of you are probably thinking, what does that mean? Okay, but let's show you. Full stop, new paragraph. Mortgage for signature. So this command has brought up a block of text. Okay, so it's a standard block of text that I use during my work on a regular basis. So I've created it as an auto text. You also spot that on the screen here, we have a pound sign. And that pound sign's got a set of delimiter brackets or square brackets. And these are what we call the navigational variables. 250,000. Next field. 22nd of April 2026. So you can build these navigational points and navigate through and change variable options. Okay. How easy was it to create that auto text? Again, from your Dragon menu here, we have a manage auto text option, and we can go in and create our own auto text. Nice, and it's really simple to do. You give it your name and you create your content. Okay. Change the spoken form if you want to. Another one of my favorite top tips. Typically, if we are using Dragon and we want to set up auto text, those auto texts are going to be in previous documentation that we've used. If I go in here and highlight my text, and I'm going to tell Dragon to do this work for me, create auto text. There it is. Okay, you can just nip through, change your amounts and your dates for delimited brackets, give it a name, and you set yourself an auto text. So again, very quick and simple to customize Dragon for you. Another option are what we call step-by-step commands. Now, these can be as simple or as complex as you want. So let's just show you one or two. Open letterhead. So that command has gone off and opened up my letterhead for me. Okay, this means I'm not doing the mouse and the clicking work, saving not just time, but if you're having difficulty using a keyboard, these commands are really useful. Okay, you'll notice I've got some delimiter fields in here. Next field, PJM001. Next field, John. Okay, so just a quick example of one of those. I'm just going to use another one, and then I'm going to show you how this one was created. Open expenses. Okay. So let's have a look at a step-by-step command. So we're going to use that expense form as an example. So again, in my Dragon menu here, let's find that particular. And there it is. So my verbal command open expenses, we've basically set it up to action a step for me. Okay. And that step, this one, open application or document. And what I did was browsed to my expense sheet. And again, this could be, you could be browsing through folder into folder into folder into folder, find your document. This is doing all of that keystroke work for you. Okay. So it's a really useful little step. This new step, so these steps are, you can have one simple step like I have, or you can have multiples thereof and various different ones. So examples can be, again, difficult because it's customized to you, but an example might be that I could set up an a step-by-step command to open up an email, address it to a particular person, tab down to the subject. So I don't have to do all of that. I just say email John and it does all the work for me. And this is using multiple steps. Okay. So you'll notice in a lot of applications that there are key presses that sit behind a lot of the action that maybe a CRM or similar does. And this is where you can build customized commands to make your life a lot easier than doing multiple clicks and yeah. So that kind of shows you some of the customizable features within Dragon. And again, if it's in sort of made you think about questions, then obviously feel free to pop those into the Q&A. So I'm just going to pop back to my slides. Okay, so I hope you found that quite useful. If your role sort of includes providing Dragon for staff that require it, you can see how important the training and support is. Okay, if you get it wrong right at the microphone stage when logging in, then you're set up to fail. And like I say, our support staff reckon the number one support call they get is the wrong microphone. Okay, so yeah, yeah, really important that your users get some training. So if you're on this call or watching a recording of it, there is a likely gap in the Dragon software you or your staff have, whether that be initial setup, training, or ongoing support. Going forward, if you have a need to set up a new user, you can buy Dragon from us, and we'll provide users with everything they need to succeed with the software. If you're an existing Dragon user and you have a renewal due, you can switch to Crescendo. Just remember to give 30 days notice to your existing supplier. If we need to be set up as a supplier with your organization, let us know in advance as we can get an account set up. And we can also provide you with a template quotation to support access to work applications. We just let us know. Okay. And if you are stuck with a supplier and you want some training, we can offer that too. We just charge £99 for up to an hour. So it's great value for money. And also, the training isn't just kind of what we've been through. We can also talk users how to set up the custom stuff for them. Okay. Okay, a quick slide for the accessibility leads on this webinar. So on request, we can supply you with business style cards. These have a QR code to a landing page with lots of information on a form, which we can offer a free 30-day trial. So generally what we do is send these out for you to pass on to people that may have a need for Dragon. And, we can give them a test run for 30 days to make sure that they're happy with that. Okay, if you would like a pack of those, my colleague Olivia is going to put a link or has put a link to a short form where you can provide your postal information. Don't worry, I won't turn up at your address. I'm far too busy doing this sort of stuff. Okay, so on to questions. I'll bring Liv in if that's okay.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, yeah.
Um,
Have we
um,
any questions?
we've got one in the Q&A. We've also got someone with their hand up. If you could put the message into the Q&A or into the chat, we can assist the question. We don't put people onto a microphone here on our webinars.
You're
The
quite,
questions we've had through is if you have a
sorry, Liv, you're
strong...
quite quiet. I don't know whether
Can you hear me better now?
that's a bit better. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Um, So the first question we've had in is if you have a strong accent slash speech speed north of England, is it worth using the standard setting for accent or doing the additional setting, please?
So depending on what version of Dragon that you're using, there's an on-premise kind of PC version of Dragon that you can run sort of training sessions on, which I would recommend you do. But the version I was using is the latest cloud application that doesn't require any training. Okay, so if you are using an older version, then the version you're using is not going to be as good as the one that I was demonstrating there. Okay. Um, Again, this might sort of resonate to a lot of people. So I will sort of say that when you first start using Dragon, if you've got one of those PC versions rather than the cloud version, it makes you read to it for a long time. The cloud version doesn't do any of that. It uses that clever algorithm, and therefore accents and things aren't a problem. Okay.
Yeah, I think another issue with that we've seen before is when they're using the older version, that whenever if they have a new computer, for instance, or they change from Windows 10 to Windows 11, they have to retrain the software as well. It might
That's
just be
right.
worth
Yeah.
flicking to the next slide, Paul, because they can maybe email you and say which version they've got, and maybe you can help out with that specifically.
Yeah.
Um,
So yes, yeah, I'll do there. There we go. So on the slide there, you've got my email address, you've got my number. So if anybody has got, questions like that, then yeah, more than happy to help. Um, but like I say, there are different versions, non-cloud, cloud, professional, legal, medical. So, if you've got specific questions and what have you, then yeah, I'm happy to help via email or phone if you want.
Great. So we've got another question. It might be worth actually, I guess it's the same principle. Can you correct speak like the person often says wanna instead of I want to, or I wanna instead of I want to? Um,
So yes, I mean what you can do. So if that person says wanna, but you would rather it say I want to, when you add a word and train it, so you could type in I want to, bit like where I added Catherine Wilson, just think back to that. So you add I want to, when you train it, you say I wanna, and it will come up with a secondary screen and say that doesn't sound like what you're asking to add. And in the pronunciation, you write I wanna. And it basically says, when I say I wanna, put I want to. I hope that kind of makes sense, but yeah, it's possible to do those things. Again, you just need a bit of training just to grasp it.
great. So add word, text, I want to, trained with the red microphone, I
Yeah,
wanna.
yeah. I mean, another example of that is so. I mean, I do quite a lot of healthcare, and let's just say, for example, quite often doctors will say, refer patient to UCLH, and they know what that means, but the patient might not. So you can set it up so you add the word University College Hospital London, and when you train it, you say UCHL. And then when you say UCHL, it tells it to put in full. It's exactly the same with the one or I want to thing. I hope that might explain it a little bit better.
Fab. We've got a few more. Can you use Dragon from the minute you turn your computer on, e.g., to open certain apps, etc.?
Yep. Again, this is where the customizable bit comes in. That's all down to commands. So you can start up your PC. You can then start to open applications using your voice. Okay. The normal sort of Microsoft applications, so open Outlook, open Microsoft Word, open Microsoft Excel. All those things will work, but you'll need to set up the commands to open your CRM or whatever else you want to do. Again, this is the customizable stuff that we can cover during training sessions.
Okay, great. We've got another one saying, other than microphone issues, what are the most common challenges that users find?
Um, Again, lack of knowledge, really. An example of that would be web extensions. So we all use web-based applications more and more, cloud applications more and more and more. And unless you know how to and have, say, the Edge or the Chrome extensions installed, you'll find that Dragon won't work in your application. With if you don't kind of know what to do about that, you just think, oh well, it's not going to work there. You just need that little bit of knowledge. Um, that's the biggest problem with Dragon. It's knowledge. And then, it's not difficult. We're talking about a typical training session I run's 45 minutes to an hour. And that's kind of doing some of the customizable stuff with users.
Okay, great. Are you aware of any upcoming changes coming to Dragon that will fold it more into the 365 Windows 11 package, given that Microsoft now owns Nuance, who make Dragon?
No. It's just quite a simple answer to that. They paid $22 billion for Nuance. They're not about to start rolling it into Office 365. And um, yeah, it's not going to be. I know they've got a dictate option in Word, which if you've used it, it's not great. But I can't ever see them um, doing that.
Okay, great. We've got one more. So if anyone's got any other questions, we've still got about 10 minutes to go. So even if they're quite niche, feel free to ask them. Someone's asked if using a cloud version, what about GDPR?
Okay, so the way that Dragon Cloud works is it processes voice in the cloud. Okay, it's not storing anything, it's processing and placing your text into your document or your application. Okay, just think of it. I mean, there's no problem with GDPR with a keyboard. There isn't a problem with GDPR with Dragon because it stores nothing. When I say nothing, okay, let's be a bit clearer about that. If we add a word like Karen Wilson or Wanna into our profile, that sits in the cloud. Okay. If if we're adding an auto text or an auto command, that sits in our profile. Okay. None of your dictated text does. It's purely processing. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Oh, we've just had another one through. Um,
Okay.
Given the increase in AI, how can it be used to cross over into AI to help create text and applications? Is it a case of copying text once dictated?
So I'll just get me a break one.
Not
Um,
coming out with the easy questions here, hey.
I mean, I guess yes. I mean, if you're asking AI to create content for you, then you can obviously do the questions with speech recognition, but obviously your results um, you could copy and paste out, and if you want to edit, you can place your cursor anywhere in amongst text and do your editing if you want to. I kind of hope that may have answered that question. Obviously, if it hasn't, just expand a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think there's key differences in the way that AI is currently being used and speech recognition is being used, particularly for accessibility. Speech recognition allows them to talk into any place that they would
Yeah,
usually type.
the other mentioning AI is not to confuse this with ambient listening. So conversational AI. This is direct input. Um, so AI that listens to a conversation and can summarize it, a bit like when you record your Teams call. This isn't that. Okay. And that sort of AI, you do have to be a little bit careful with because we all know AI can hallucinate. So check-in's very, very important. But this is listening to you and it's doing your input. It's not going to change things because AI thinks it's the right way of doing something. Okay.
Okay, great. We haven't got anything else on the Q&A, so I guess we can finish up early. Everyone's got your details. on the screen. We'll send a copy of the recording afterwards.
Yep. So perfect. But thanks ever so much for everybody who's attended. And thank you to those that are listening to this later on. And yeah, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much.